Now, I want you to take a minute and try to calculate the number of hours you've spent in front of a screen today. And by screen, I mean laptop, desktop, mobile phone, tab, Kindle, or its kind. Do you have a number yet? If it's anything near 9 hours, your eyes may be in trouble. Well, you already know that. Or your eyes may have already elongated. Did you know that? Today, we have a clear link between screen time and vision problem. You know what myopia is, another word for nearsightedness. When you can see objects that are near us, but can't see those that are far from us. The increasing screen time is putting us at the risk of nearsightedness. It's been called an epidemic. The journey between staring at a screen and having to get a pair of specs is a very interesting one. You see, our eyes are not too different from the rest of our bodies when it comes to growth. The growth cycle of our eyes begins at conception and ends after teenage, meaning our eyes don't grow once we turn 19, at most 20. And that's the ideal scenario. But what's happening today is that our eyes are constantly growing because they're spending too much time focusing on objects near us, like phones, tabs, Kindles. We hold them pretty close to our eyes, and when we do that, we end up spoiling our eyes. How does that happen? One, they're strained, and two, they blink less because they're so focused on the screen. Three, the eye muscles stretch, and four, our lenses shift. Again, why? In order to adjust to the close distance between the eyes and the screen. All of us, and all of this, in fact, leaves us with elongated eyeballs. Our eyeballs are supposed to be round, like an orange. When we become nearsighted, the eyeballs become oval, like a grape or an olive. Why is a grape-like eyeball bad for us? Because it prevents the eye from bending light the way it ideally should. And this leads to a situation where objects placed far from our eyes start becoming blurred. So we need specs or lenses in order to see clearly. What I'm telling you is not a hypothesis. The link between screens and specs is real. The more the screen time, the more the risk of myopia. It is happening all around us. In 2010, in fact, just 28% of Indians had myopia, 28%. In 2020, at least 34% Indians had myopia. By 2050, around 50% of Indians are expected to have myopia. 50% of this country is expected to have nearsightedness. Guess what else is growing along with the myopia numbers? Our screen time. In the US, over 40% of people already have trouble seeing far objects. Myopia cases have doubled in 50 years. The problem has become so widespread that America's leading eye institutes are calling myopia an epidemic. The pandemic has made the situation worse. Even those who did not need to stare at their computers for 10 hours a day are now working on their systems from home. During lockdowns, our phones became our lifelines. They doubled up as our classrooms, grocery stores. We used phones for video calls, even played board games on our phones. The pandemic made smartphones an inseparable part of our lives. Today, an average person spends over 9 hours in front of a screen. And this is not a number to be proud of. Our eyes are at risk. Guess we all know that already. The eyes of our children are also at risk. In 2020, Chinese researchers studied over 120,000 students. They were aged 6 to 8. All of them were quarantined. All of them were attending classes online. Vision-related issues among these students increased 3 times. And this is compared to the previous 5 years. 3 times increase. I'm sure some of you are thinking, what's the big deal with myopia or vision problem? We have specs and we have lenses to solve them. Well, you are right. They help us in the short term. But then there are long-term effects of myopia that we cannot ignore, like breaks in the retina or blindness. An elongated eyeball stretches the retina or the coating. At times, the coating cracks and it makes your eyes vulnerable to external fluid. This puts us at the risk of blindness, developing cataract or glaucoma. I am, of course, trying to explain all of this to you in extremely simplified terms. The point I'm trying to make is that there are scary consequences of overexposure to screen. There are consequences of developing myopia. Eye problems or vision problems cannot be rubbished as silly problems. The myopia epidemic is something that we all must worry about. Sitting in front of laptops for 9 hours is not good for us. So this is what we need to do, take a break from screens. And I understand for a lot of you, this sounds impossible. For a lot of you, work involves focusing on screens for long hours. So here's what you can do. Start by taking 20-second breaks. There's something called a 20-20-20 model. After every 20 minutes of screen time, look at an object that is at least 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It's a very simple exercise, and doctors say it helps minimize the strain on your eyes. Also ensure that you're blinking enough. Keep your eyes lubricated. And do it for the long term health of your eyes. The nearsightedness epidemic is something that we can all put an end to. We can at least try. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.